Hi, everybody. I'm Professor Josh Bisman. I'm an associate professor of finance here at Loyola Marymount, along as usual with my colleague, David Offenberg. And today we're going to talk about shareholder primacy. David, do you have a hall of shame when it comes to our favorite companies?
Do I ever? And I wouldn't call these our favorite companies by any stretch of the imagination, but I've definitely got a top three. At the top here, Arthur Andersen. Arthur Andersen is the company that collapsed because they lied about Enron's financials. In the process, that cost all 85,000 of their employees their jobs. That's pretty shameful. We've got Volkswagen. Volkswagen cheated in emissions testing. When news broke that Volkswagen cheated in emissions testing, they lost an incredible amount of shareholder value, about $45 billion. And maybe the dirtiest of all, HSBC. HSBC was laundering money for Mexican drug cartels and got fined by the US government to the tune of $2 billion. Let me show you this because I love this. And this is why the HSBC one is so infamous. You've been to a bank, right, Josh?
That's right.
And at the bank, there's the teller window where there's this little slot that you put money through to give it to the teller. The Mexican drug cartels actually custom manufactured boxes to go through the bank slots at HSBC branches so they could literally shove as much dirty money into the bank as possible. And that's what people remember about HSBC.
That's great.
And so this is my top three in my shareholder primacy hall of shame. The point being, you can't maximize shareholder value by lying, cheating, and stealing. But do you have a new candidate? Where do we stand?
Well, so perhaps I have been thinking a lot about the pandemic and who benefits during the pandemic, and I want to just show a picture here. So here's a company that before the pandemic. So if you bought this company in December of 2019, you saw tremendous growth as a shareholder. So the shareholder value went way up. But keep in mind, this was at a time when everyone else was sort of suffering, and small businesses were closing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We were all stuck at home. So I kind of think, boy, am I happy? Am I happy to be a shareholder of this company? And you can move ahead and see what's happened since, and you can see that the stock price has actually gone down quite a bit since then. And so from you're no longer happy. And so the company here is Peloton.
Right.
Yeah. So we all have to work out at home. We can't go to the gym. So they're very successful. But once things open back up, it goes back down. And so I sort of think, you're right. You can't lie, cheat, or steal. But some companies are going to perform well when everyone else is sort of not doing well. And so I thought this was a great example. Now, the interesting thing is, because the goal is with shareholder primacy is let's maximize shareholder value at all costs. So what does Peloton do? They did great, not doing great. So recently, if you've been following the news over the last month, Peloton stock is up, about 25%. And the reason why is twofold. So one, they've fired their CEO, and two, they're laying off a bunch of employees. So, clearly shareholder primacy is putting the shareholders out in front of the stakeholders of the firm. And in this case, the stakeholders that are going to be hurt are employees of the firm. And so I kind of, I want, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out and whether this is the right move or not, and actually helps the shareholders of Peloton long term. But I think, this is sort of my view of, as I think about shareholder primacy, is it might be really good for me as a shareholder, but it might really hurt others. And that's a problem. So David, do you have a new Hall of Shame member or potential Hall of Shame member?
Well, yes. This week we got news that cell phone equipment manufacturer Ericsson had been paying the terrorist organization ISIS to get access to their territory to put up cell phone equipment in Iraq. And this is crazy. ISIS is an organization that countries and people have been, giving their lives and their treasure to defeat. And then here's a publicly traded company giving them money to continue fighting us. And it's disastrous news, of course, for Ericsson. It's, like HSBC, this is news that's probably not going to go away anytime soon. And it's the kind of thing that's going to stick to their reputation for years and years to come. People are going to think, do I want to work with Ericsson, the people who are supporting the terrorists, or do I want to work with their competitor? Pretty easy to make a choice there. And we can see, of course, the same thing in their stock price. Here's where the news broke, that they were funding ISIS, and the outcome has been a disaster for their stock price. They've lost about $5 billion in shareholder value since this news came out. And this might be the tip of the iceberg. There might be more that hasn't been uncovered yet within Ericsson. And so this is more evidence that lying, cheating, and stealing are not the right way to maximize shareholder value.